guys, it's Sam, and I'm here to do the favorite genre tag. This tag was originally created by Sky Pie on the fly, and I was tagged by her, so thank you very much. And this sounds like a really awesome tag. It's just basically talking about your favorite genre and a bunch of questions pertaining to your favorite genre. So each person is actually going to have different answers for this because it will pertain to their specific favorite genre. So that's pretty awesome. So question number 1 is your favorite genre, and I would have to say, no surprise, young adult fantasy. Question number 2 is best of the best, and that is your favorite book from this genre. Right now, that would have to go to Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Grisha trilogy, and my favorite book of the series, as well as probably my favorite book currently ever. I just think this book had everything that I wanted. It had a great cast of characters, it had awesome love interests, it had an amazing protagonist. The whole series has amazing protagonists, but she's particularly kick-ass in this book, and the writing was wonderful, the setting was wonderful, the build-up we were getting was wonderful, everything about this is wonderful. There's also pirates, and it's just beautiful. It's everything. It's my favorite cover of the series. It's just so great. I did a review and gush on the series if you haven't already known about that. It is linked down below for you to check out. I can't stop talking about this series. I'm surprised if you haven't heard me talk about it already. I love it. I'm obsessed. Siege and Storm is my quintessential YA fantasy book right now. Question number 3 is book that started it all. Which book got you the most into this genre? And I had some trouble thinking of this because I think I've always kind of liked young adult fantasy, but the one that sticks out the most to me is Graceling by Kristin Cashore. This is the very first book that I remember reading that was part of a series that was definitely more like high fantasy, that had all of the quintessential elements that I look for now. It had a really kick-ass female protagonist, it had a really cool kind of magic system, power system in it. I really enjoyed the world. It was the first one that I kind of followed all the way through to the end. I absolutely adore it, and I still recommend it to everybody. It is amazing, but I think this kind of started me down this very long and winding path. Question number 4 is hype, book in this genre that is worth the hype it gets, and book in this genre that needs more hype. And as far as book in this genre that is worth the hype it gets, that's going to have to go to The Winter's Curse by Marie Witowski, also The Winter's Crime, which is the book that recently came out. Both of these are getting a ton of hype right now, and it's so worth it. This series is amazing. I have done spoiler-free reviews on both books, which I will link down below, as well as gushes because I'm obsessed. This series is just awesome. It is really different than a lot of things that I have read. There's a ton of political intrigue. You do not predict anything within this series. The main characters are awesome. The female protagonist, again, amazing. I can go on and on about this series, but this series is totally worth the hype that it's getting. And the series that deserves more hype is The Assassin's Curse and The Pirate's Wish duology by Cassandra Rose Clarke. This series has gotten a little bit of hype on BookTube. I know that a little while ago it was going around a lot more because this publishing house is actually shutting down. So these books were getting a lot of hype before they actually got shut down. But this series is amazing. I don't hear anybody talk about it outside of BookTube. I don't ever see it in bookstores because it was made by a smaller publisher. The series is awesome. It is a really amazing fantasy series, and it's with pirates and assassins, which are my 2 favorite things of all time, and it takes place in a very interesting and original fantasy world. The fantasy world in this is kind of more like Arabic, and you typically see more fantasy that's like medieval. And this was a very original fantasy setting. I absolutely adored it. And these books are actually available again on ebook. They're not available in physical copies right now. The author is actually hoping to get them back to a publisher again and get them printed again. But right now you can get them on ebook. So if you are all interested in the series, please pick it up on ebook. They're amazing. I love them so much. They were in my favorites for 2014. Question number 5 is biggest pet peeve about books in this genre, and that's going to have to be the lack of strong female friendships, or sometimes even female friendships at all. I have actually done a video about this. I will link that right here as well as down below for you to check out. It's a problem. It's a problem. And I know that in fantasy books, there's a lot usually going on. There's probably magic running amok. There's probably some kind of war. There's probably some kind of evil monarch of some kind doing something stupid. But can we have some strong lady friendships, please? We usually have strong female protagonists. That's not a concern. Typically speaking, the protagonists in YA fantasy are amazing. But can we give them an awesome lady best friend? Because that's what I want. Question number 6 is name authors or series on your must-buy list. If they come out with a book, you must buy it. Leigh Bardugo, you guys probably already know, is on my must-buy list. I will buy anything that she writes from now until the end of time. Six of Crows is one of my most anticipated books of the entire year. It's like a 3-way tie between 3 YA fantasy series books, but it's very much up there. I will buy anything that Leigh Bardugo produces. I am hooked. I am hooked. Also, Kristin Cashore of the Graceling series that I previously mentioned, she hasn't come out with another book since she finished the Graceling trilogy with Bitter Blue. I think it was 2 years ago, but I will, again, pick up anything that she writes. I love the way she writes her protagonists. I like the way that she deals with a lot of things like sexuality within her books. I really, really appreciate that. I love the worlds she creates. I love how she weaves everything together within her companion books. I hope she does another companion series because I love the way that she handled Graceling, and I will pick up anything by her. Also, Morgan Rhodes. Morgan Rhodes writes under a pen name called Michelle Rowan, and she does more adult paranormal with that pen name, so I wouldn't really buy those necessarily. I might in the future. I might change my mind, but adult paranormal is not really my thing right now. But anything she writes under Morgan Rhodes, which she writes YA fantasy with, I will pick that up. I will pick up any book in her series. I'm obviously addicted to the Fallen Kingdom series. She's coming out with a spin-off series to Fallen Kingdoms, and I am going to pick those up as well. I will pick up anything she writes. I am addicted to her writing. Question number 7 is places you'd love to travel or characters you'd love to meet from your genre. Typically speaking, most of the places that you would travel to within these fantasy kingdoms, not super great. A lot of stuff is happening. Like I said, magic's running amok, there's an evil monarch, there's monsters of some kind. It's just it's a little dangerous for your average human being. If I could travel there with powers and stuff and magic or whatever, I'd be totally down for that. But typically speaking, I don't want to go to any of those places because it's dangerous and it's scary. But the one place I would really like to go to is actually the Dells from Fire, which is the second book in the Graceling trilogy. It's kind of like a Graceling love fest today. But in the Dells, they have things that they call monsters. And they're not your typical monsters. They are basically humans and animals that are kind of deadly, but they are different crazy colors. Like colors of the rainbow. Like you will have a blue and silver tiger, and you will have a human who has like actual fire red hair, or you will have a rat that is like gold and brown and like really beautiful. So like basically it's really beautiful surroundings and scenery, and the place itself, like the environment and stuff, is really gorgeous. So I would like to be there because it just sounds pretty. Again, deadly, a little dangerous, things want to eat you, but it's pretty things that want to eat you. You know, being eaten by like a blue and silver tiger, like it's not a bad way to go down, you know what I mean? And as far as characters, I'd love to meet any of my wonderful female protagonists. A lot of them I probably wouldn't get the chance to meet because they're either royalty or they have special abilities, and they're not gonna like be hanging out with the humans that aren't even from there and can't do anything cool. But Kestrel from The Winter's Curse and The Winter's Crime, she's amazing. I would love to hang out with her. She seems like somebody who is in need of a friend, especially lately in the book, so I would really appreciate hanging out with her. Leah from The Kiss of Deception, I would love to meet and hang out with. I would love to meet Alina from the Gertrude trilogy because she's my baby and I love her. As well as Cleo from the Fallen Kingdom series, again, baby, angel of my life. So any of those characters, any of my wonderful female protagonists, I would love to hang out with and cuddle and stroke their hair and be like, it's okay, because they're all pretty much having a rough life right now. Question number 8 is what do you want to see more of in this genre? I already mentioned this, but more female friendships. Give them to me. I need them. I need them. But also more fantastical creatures. I'm a big fan of, you know, the dragons, any kind of like fantasy creatures, not like monsters necessarily. Like I don't really need monsters, but any like cool fantasy creatures. Like dragons. Dragons is like all I can think of right now for some reason. Give me more dragons. But the things that you tend to see more of in adult fantasy, because adult fantasy just tends to have more beasts and stuff, you know, I'm thinking of like Lord of the Rings and stuff, but I want more of that in my YA fantasy, because you have a lot of magic and you have a lot of like intrigue and stuff like that, and like war and romance and whatever. Give me the fantastical creatures. I want to read about them. I want to see them. I love them. And question number 9 is recommend 3 books from this genre. Any of the books that I have mentioned in this video are recommendations, obviously, so I'm going to talk about books that I haven't mentioned in this video, which I've mentioned before, but I want to mention them again. The first is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. Love this series. This is the first book in a young adult fantasy trilogy, I've been told, but I've also heard that it's a longer series. I don't know anymore. It's going to be more than one book. It's going to be a trilogy at least. But amazing, amazing series. Do not let the title fool you. Do not even let the synopsis that you've heard fool you. A lot of people are turned off because there's a love triangle in it, and there is, but it's amazing. It is an amazing love triangle, okay? Okay? And the characters are awesome, and the world is awesome, and I am so looking forward to the next one in the series, which is coming out in like July or August, and I don't want to wait anymore. But I've already done a review and gush on this, which I will link down below because I can't stop talking about it, and I read this back in like August, so Still obsessed. The next book I haven't talked about a ton on my channel actually, and that is Grave Mercy by Robin LaFevers, but this is another book that is one of my favorites, and it is a book in a companion trilogy, and it is about a girl who was raised in a convent for assassins. Lady assassins. There's lady friendships in here. There actually is, so more of this, but it's an amazing series. I actually haven't read the next two books because I'm a pineapple and I just haven't read them yet and I'm awful, but I am really looking forward to those when I get to them. But this one was amazing. I have heard amazing things about the rest of the series and I'm really looking forward to it, but this one just doesn't really get enough hype, and it needs more hype because the relationships in here and the characters in here are really awesome, and it just really draws you in, and they're literally like assassin nuns for death. Like, it's good. It's good. And lastly is a fairly recent read that needs more hype, and that is Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rosh. I've done a review on this, which I will link down below. It is a very recent read of mine. I gave this like 4.5 stars, almost a 5-star book, but this is the first book in a young adult fantasy trilogy. It is about a world where there are 4 season nations and 4 rhythm nations, but all the nations in this world, each monarch has a conduit, which is kind of like controls their magic, and that magic helps the kingdom run and everything. But 16 years ago, our main character's kingdom of Winter was actually destroyed by the Spring Nation, and their conduit was destroyed, and they were all enslaved except for a few of them that got out, including our main character, and this is just them trying to rebuild their nation, trying to take back everything from Spring, trying to help their people. It is really good. I really enjoy the main character in this. I really enjoy the friendships and relationships in here. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series, and this got a little bit of hype when it was released last fall, but I haven't heard a ton about it since, and it deserves more hype. It's really good. It's really original. The premise doesn't sound like it would be that great, but it's really original once you dig deeper into it and the more you go, and I cannot wait for the sequels to this, and I really, really recommend it. So if you like young adult fantasy, pick this up. It's really good. Alright guys, that is it for the favorite genre tag. Comment down below and let me know your favorite genre and 3 of your favorite books from that genre, because I would love some more recommendations. I'm going to tag a few people and I want to hear some of their recommendations as well. I'm going to tag Sarah Jane from The Book Life because I know she's probably going to pick fantasy too and I want to hear some of her recommendations. I'm going to tag Lainey from Gingery's Lainey because I think she'll do fantasy or dystopian and I want to hear more of her recommendations. I'm going to tag Kayla from Bookadoodles because again, she'll probably pick fantasy and I want recommendations. Oh gosh, I'm going to pick Sana from Inkbone's Books, again, probably going to pick fantasy, and I'm going to tag Shannon from Leaning Lights because she might pick contemporary. You guys don't need to pick what I'm saying, I'm just thinking out loud, but anybody else that wants to do this tag, feel free to do it. It's really a lot of fun. It's a great way to talk about your favorite genres. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!